And then Jennifer Senior, writing at the Times, she writes, President Trump is unfit for this crisis, period. His narcissism is a grave danger to our health. Trump is unfit for anything except running the little fucking filthy scams he ran as a developer in New York, the shitty little reality television shows that he had. That's what Trump should do. You know, goosing people, stealing shit, finagling things around, lying, cheating out in the private sector. But when you're the president of the United States, a different dynamic has to be in place, a dynamic that Trump doesn't even have a fucking clue what it is. But it's honesty, it's integrity, it's telling the fucking truth. It's running the government, not calling it the deep state, not listening to the shit that floats around inside the toilet bowl at Fox Sewer, but fucking leading. Trump can't lead. Trump is a pimp. And he's got whores working all around him, mostly men. Jennifer Senior writes, over the weekend, the White House overruled government health officials who wanted to advise older people against flying. Oh, don't tell anybody anything that's negative. They can get on a plane. If they get sick, well, it's just a flu. If they die, well, it was bad flu. This is what she writes. The coronavirus is no longer just a slow-moving public health crisis. It may soon turn into a rapid-moving one. It's a crisis of transparency. It's a crisis of government legitimacy. So it is in this spirit that we all have to say, enough! How many times have you heard your humble and obedient servant scream that into this microphone? Whose side is the Trump administration on? Based on every public appearance we've seen so far, whether it's from a cabinet member or the director of the CDC or the president himself, the answer is clear. Whose side is he on? Not the public's. President Trump, hell-bent on re-election, is focused on massaging numbers and silencing bearers of bad news. That's what autocrats do. That's what dictators do. That's what fascist fuckers do. She didn't write that. I added that. And it's endangering lives. On Saturday, the Associated Press reported that Trump overruled his own health officials who wanted to warn older Americans and the fragile against flying on commercial airliners. Our storied Centers for Disease Control, now annexed by politicians, continues to insist that only the most floridly symptomatic patients be tested for the virus. Even that remains a challenge. Last week, it refused to test an ailing nurse in Northern California who treated a positive patient, prompting the head of the National Nurses United to read her story aloud at a news conference. And as of Friday, news conference at the CDC, I guess you saw that fucker like this. Remember that? Yeah. When he called the governor of Washington State, Jay Inslee, a snake. At a Friday news conference, CDC, Trump told reporters that tests for the coronavirus were now available to anyone who needed one. Yeah. Yet just afterward, we heard from governor after governor and doctor after doctor that this is categorically bullshit. It's not true. We don't have the means to test. We should have, but we don't. With states in dire need of more tests. Dr. Walderd Mills, president of the California Academy of Family Physicians, said, quote, "We have no local testing available." And of course, it was at the same news conference that Trump infamously said, quote, I like the numbers being where they are, in explaining why he was reluctant to let passengers, some of whom have tested positive for the virus, off the Grand Princess cruise ship floating off California. It's since been docked at Oakland, and we have some of those patients now here at Dobbins Air Force Base in Georgia. But Trump liked the numbers where they were. 35 people infected in the United States. Well, what did he say? Well, I don't want those people coming on. That's not our fault. Those are fucking Americans, you cocksucker. Those are Americans. And you knew, didn't you, you unconscionable prick, that if they came on shore, it would double the numbers of people at that moment who were known to have coronavirus, and you weren't going to have any of that shit, would you? You bastard. Jennifer writes, that news conference was to me the most frightening moment of the Trump presidency. His preening narcissism, his compulsive lying, his vindictiveness, his terror of germs, and his terrifying inability to grasp basic science. All of it eclipsed his primary responsibilities to us as Americans, which was to provide urgent care, namely in the form of leadership. As much as it pains me to say this, because Mike Pence turns my fucking guts, but Pence is the one who has taken over and has been able to coherently explain what is going on, why it's going on, and possible what may happen. Trump can't put a fucking sentence together anymore. His brain is just totally gone. The son of a bitch, you talk about senile. On top of his narcissism, on top of his self-referential, every single fucking thought has to be self-referential. On top of all that, his brain is rotting. Listen to the way he talks. Listen to him try to put together a sentence without a teleprompter in front of him. But I digress. Jennifer writes, it's preposterous for Trump to resist determining how widespread this epidemic is. Preposterous. He doesn't know. He has no fucking idea. Even the scientists, the medical, the epidemiologists don't know. And you know why? Because there's no way to test people. There's no way to find out where the clusters are. Oh, we know there's one in a couple in Washington State. We know there's one in upstate New York. We know a couple of clusters now have shown up. But we have no fucking idea. Because we don't have the tests. No idea as to how widespread this virus is now, tonight. This afternoon, I heard 1,000 infections now in the United States. I'll guarantee you by tomorrow morning, it'll be double that. This is exponential shit. It doesn't go up 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. It goes up 2, 4, 16, 32, 64. 128, 512, 1,024. That's how it goes up. Right now, the United States isn't reporting how many people have been tested. The CDC pulled the number from its website. They don't even want us to know how many people have been tested. The last number I heard was 7,000. Late last week, Jennifer writes an extraordinarily detailed article by The Atlantic, counting state by state, put that number at only 1,895. In South Korea, the number was more than 200,000, which Trump dismissed as sampling. Sampling. It was not. It was straight ahead testing. Testing. Because we're testing only the sickest of the sick, the American fatality rate from the coronavirus is roughly 4%. That's 40 times the flu. It's a frightening and highly deceptive number, even higher than China's. But Trump has made the dangerous calculation that he'd prefer to keep the number of cases low than convey the full magnitude of the contagion. When the coronavirus first appeared in China, some commentators reached for the Chernobyl comparison. Today, the comparison looks increasingly apt for the United States as well. Maybe it's hyperbolic. It'll be months before we know firm numbers on cases and fatalities, but the commonalities are easy to spot. We're reckoning with a silent, invisible, and potentially devastating public health crisis, and the government is refusing to tell us the facts or what next steps to take because it's too concerned with optics to own up to its initial mishandling of the situation. On Friday morning, last Friday, Trump crowed, "I think we're in great shape." The difference is that because we live in an age of social networks, the public is still getting information online. But as with all information online, some of it is terrible, fucked up, lies, deceptive, and some of it's good. Jennifer writes this. Reuters just reported, let me make sure when she wrote this, 2 days ago, or 1 day ago. Reuters just reported that Democrats are twice as apt to view the coronavirus as an imminent threat to our country as Republicans. God damn. And the reason seems clear. The news outlets that do the president's bidding, like Fox, are playing down the potential scope and severity of the problem. Meanwhile, more clear-eyed governors are declaring states of emergency and speaking directly to more mainstream news sources to voice their concerns, as are doctors and epidemiologists. Fuck Trump. They have to go around this filthy son of a bitch. Fuck Fox. All you people who watch Fox, die, motherfuckers, because that's what you're getting from your sainted Fox network and all the floaters in there who sit inside that toilet and fill your head with lies and bullshit every minute, every day. Keep listening. It's time that the herd of you fuckers was culled quite a bit. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com. And never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.